I placed a piece of pipe up here. It could be any frame uh, profile, but it has to be a frame member in order to be uh, recognized in frame analysis. And think of this as the hook. So we have a cable system, some sort of harness coming down from the hook. And so that's what this component represents, is the hook. So I'll go into frame analysis, and let me turn off those node labels. And then so then what I did at one end of the hook, at this end of it I put a fixed constraint, and at this end of it I put a pin constraint. So the pin constraint will allow 3 degrees of rotation. So around that node, around that point, it could rotate around the X axis, around the Y axis, and around the Z axis. So it could freely rotate. So these 4 connections here can rotate around that axis. And actually, as I do that, that gives me some other ideas of something to think about. All right, well, I'll come back to that. Then actually a couple other things that I did is under frame analysis settings, I turned off this heads-up display, and I'll make the frame itself invisible for now, and I have it on shaded rather than shaded with edges. Okay, so those are our beam elements. And then I put a node at let me go back up here to my nodes. I put a custom node at the approximate lifting location for these hooks. Let me put this on undeformed. Actually, I have on. Let's put this on. I'm going to turn off the displacement for a minute. Alright, so I put a node at the approximate lifting location here, back here, over here, and over here. And the way I did that is if I create a custom node and I pick this beam element and then put the distance, in this case I put 1000 about where it's at. Alright, so I did that, a custom node for each one of those lifting locations on this beam. And then I put a rigid link to those. So let me just put that in again. I'm going to delete it and put it in again. Alright, so I'll do a rigid length. My parent node is here. Well, one of the child nodes here, one here, one here, and one over here. Okay, so then this whole thing then can rotate about that node. Now gravity should, depending on the mass of the various beams, I'm expecting it actually to become a little bit unbalanced because we have more beams up here than we do, but then we have some beams back here that could we be lucky and have it totally balanced? Probably not. But I'm going to go ahead and run the simulation. Now here's what bothers me. I get this instability of type 3, or rotation about the x-axis for node number 36, which happens to be back here. Now I'm not sure why I'm getting that or what to do about it. So I'm lost at that location. But what I was expecting to have to do is to put a release, or to actually think of adding a weak spring somewhere on here to balance this thing. If you were lifting this with a crane, somebody's on the ground guiding that with the rope. Well, that would represent my weak spring. But that's not exactly the result that I'm getting, so I'm kind of confused on that. But I just had an idea as I was doing this. On this rigid link that I put in there, let me suppress that, and I'm going to do 4 rigid links. So I'm going to do a rigid link from here to here, and then I'm going to do another one, and I'm not sure it's going to let me select that parent node again, so it won't let me select that parent node again. So that idea is not going to work. I'm not sure what's going on with this. Somebody with more experience than I have will have to come along. I was expecting that to work, and I'm getting that error down here, and I don't know exactly why. I would expect this to displace because its only support is back here, but I'm getting an error that I can't get around.